Hello and welcome to another Magic 2015 gameplay. Today we're taking a look at a very interesting deck, and as you can tell by the name, it's a deck that is trying to abuse the card Warp World, which is a 8 mana sorcery where players have to shuffle all their permanents back into their libraries and then basically reveal an equal amount and put all those permanents back into play, including lands. So we are trying to limit the number of non-permanents in our deck, so we're not running a lot of instants or sorceries, and we're trying to have a lot of synergies that try and abuse the Warp World once we get all those permanents back. And we're also trying to ramp quite a bit because we need to get up to 8 mana as fast as possible. So yeah, let's take a look at all the cards here. We are running 4 colors, excluding blue. I know there's some Warp World decks that try to abuse a Royal Elemental, so once you get the Warp World out, all the landfall triggers from the Royal Elemental allow you to steal all your opponent's permanents, which is nice, but the plan relies on having Royal Elemental in your deck, and the blue didn't really fit into my shell, and the Royal Elemental is also pretty weak to removal, so if the opponent can remove it, they get all their stuff back. So I just ignored the Royal Elemental for this particular build. So yeah, let's just jump right into it, starting with Wall of Omens, a nice early blocker that draws a card, and if we get it from Warp World, it's still gonna draw us a card. So pretty good in a ramp shell that's trying to build up to a big finisher. And then we've got Squadron Hawk, a nice little card advantage card that has multiple roles. Mainly it's a flying blocker, we don't have a lot of those, so we need some flying defense. And it's also 4 cards in one, so if we get one of them we get all 4, and that's 4 permanents, which is a lot for the Warp World. And it also filters some cards out of our deck, so our draws improve by making our deck a little smaller. Then we've got Core Cartographer, which is a 4 mana 2/2 that ramps us by grabbing a plains and put it into play tapped. So it's another ramp card, and if we get it from Warp World, it's gonna help rebuild our mana base. Once all our lands are gone, it can help get some more lands if we didn't get many. Then Baneslayer Angel, just not a very synergistic card in the deck, but I mean it's just a game winner that can win games by itself. Then we've got Captain of the Watch, which is an interesting new addition, which puts 3 soldier tokens into play when it enters a battlefield. So that means that by playing 1 card, you basically get 4 permanents, because the tokens do add up to the Warp World count, even though when you put them back into your library, the tokens obviously don't get shuffled in, but they still count, so you'll get more permanents. So that's a nice card to have, and it also synergizes with a card I'll show you in just a bit. So just a good 6-drop here that increases our permanent count significantly, and it's also just a good card on turn 6 or earlier with our ramp. Then we've got Runescar Demon to basically be our 3rd and 4th Warp World, but in some situations it can grab something else if we need it. So it's just to have more Warp Worlds and make the deck a little more consistent, and it's also just a big flyer that can win games. And if we get it from the Warp World, once we resolve it, it can also search up additional creatures. Then we've got Anger of the Gods, which is our way to deal with early aggression, because we are a little weak to that. If the opponent has a lot of tokens out, for example, then Anger of the Gods can solve that. And then Ogre Battle Driver, this guy is very interesting with Warp World, because if you cast Warp World before attacking, and you happen to get the Ogre Battle Driver, all your creatures you get back are gonna have +2/+0 and haste, so you can most likely finish off the opponent with 1 big attack, and is especially nice with cards like Captain of the Watch that also gets 3 tokens and that all get the bonus from the Ogre Battle Driver. So that's pretty brutal, and it also works nicely with Inferno Titan, for example, which can ping 3 damage however you want to divided. And it's just also another great creature just to play a little earlier thanks to the ramp, or to get back from Warp World to maybe kill some Banisher priests that otherwise would steal your creatures or something like that. And then we've got Warp World itself. We've got Cultivate as one of our few non-creature or actually non-permanent cards. Just a very good ramp card and also helps us fix our mana base a bit. Then we've got Plaka Worm to gain some life and stabilize a bit. Also works nicely with Warp World once we get it back to gain some life back and be a big trampler. And if it gets haste, then it can trample over and most likely win the game. We've got Darkseal Ingot as another ramp card that is a permanent, so if we reveal it with Warp World, we do get it on the battlefield, unlike Cultivate. And then Kozilek as another big finisher that also draws us some cards. It doesn't draw cards when it enters the battlefield with Warp World, but we can pretty easily get up to 10 mana just by ramping, so at that point we can cast him and draw 4 cards. And the Annihilator works nicely with the Ogre Battle Driver, of course. And then finally Ground Assault as just another removal spell to take care of problematic creatures. And then the mana base is, we've got a lot of basics because we need them for the Cartographer and for the Cultivate, so a lot of basic lands. And then 3 Savage lands, 3 Jungle Shrine, and 4 Selesnya Guildgate. The mana base might need a little bit of a rework, but so far it's been performing alright, because we do have a lot of fixing thanks to Cultivate and Darkseal Ingot. So yeah, that's a deck, and let's take it for a spin. Alright, let's take a look at our opening hand, and it looks like a 6 land hand that is a pretty easy mulligan. And this is a decent keep. I don't like seeing double Squadron Hawk, obviously, but I think it's fine. So let's pause the turn here. We have a turn 3 Ingot after playing another Squadron Hawk. I think we can only grab 1 other Hawk. Alright, Spire Tracer. We can block that with the Hawk. Let's see here. If we want to play the Ingot on 3, we might have to play the Guildgate here. But I don't think we need to play the Ingot that early, since we don't have any 4 or 5 drops in hand. So we can get 2 Hawks here, yeah. And pause the turn. Let's see, I will block if he attacks. Or deal. Yeah, that's a problem. So he's gonna get in. We can't really block. So that's gonna keep growing until it's a 4/4, so we will have to quadruple block it if we wanna ever trade it. Which is not good, because then we'll lose 4 permanents for just a 2. And let's see. We can go Guildgate, Hawk, and then next turn 2 more Hawks. Sounds like a plan. So let's just attack since we're not blocking. And let's pause the turn. And Cultivate. And super strange to see in a deck with such an aggressive start, but might be playing the Raised by Wolves enchantment that costs 5 mana. Alright, so we're just gonna take it here. Next turn is gonna gain 10 life. Alright, Cultivate does change your plan a bit. So we can, let's see. We could go Ingot, cast a Squadron Hawk, or we can just cast a Cultivate. I prefer playing out the Ingot then, since we still have a land drop for this turn, and then next turn we can look at Cultivate. And let's attack. So if your opponent is going all in on this Spire Tracer, we might be able to get a Ground Assault with the Runescar Demon. If we don't get up to the 8 mana for Warp World. So 5 mana, I'm expecting a big enchantment. Instead it's a Trained Caracal, which is not very impressive right now. Alright, gain 10, deal 4, we're just gonna take it here. Alright, so 4, 5, we can cultivate and still play the Squadron Hawk. Ingot is interesting, so we can Ingot and cultivate. Seems a little more powerful. And we can still play a land. So let's see, let's get the black and red, I think. And let's see. Don't think we die to a Raised by Wolves. So I'm just gonna attack with 2, keep 1 blocker for the Caracal, which I will trade with if our opponent allows it. And next turn we might have to keep back some Hawks to block, although we will be having a Runes card in play. 4 mana, Angelic Accord. Alright. Does he have an enchantment for the Caracal? Just an attack, alright, both coming in. I'll happily trade here. So we're at 7. Does he have a follow-up? No, he doesn't. So let's see, 7, 8, and we have triple red, so yeah, I think I'm just gonna go for the Warp World plan here. Does he have a reprisal, maybe? Yep, there it is. 1 less permanent for us, but I'm still gonna go for it. Let's see, we have 8, 9, 10 permanents in play against our opponent's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And most likely we have some better cards since he is running cards like Cultivate and Reprisal, which don't really affect the board with Warp World. And Spire Tracer is not great, although he can put his enchantments on his creatures, because you get the creatures before the enchantments. And I think I don't block here, just because I want the additional permanent. So maybe I should have attacked, but if our opponent enchants the Spire Tracer, then I do want a blocker. Interesting. So I could play Captain of the Watch here. We do get punished if our opponent has a God's Willing to give this protection from white and attack us. But the 4 additional permanents are quite tempting, so I think I'll just play a Wall of Omens here, see what we draw. If it's a removal spell, I might use it on the Spire Tracer. It's a Plaka Worm. Alright, let's just cast the Captain then. And keep back our Squadron Hawks to block the Spire Tracer, and then next turn cast Warp World. And hope our opponent does not have a God's Willing. This has been pretty useless so far, but maybe our opponent has more life gain. Alright, that's a Cultivate, so 1 card left. I don't think it's a God's Willing. Still only 2 colors. Alright, I think we can go for the Warp World main phase 1. So we might hit the Ogre Battle Driver and go for an all-in attack. There's the Battle Driver, but not a lot of creatures unfortunately. So let's see if the game can handle this. Alright, that's what our opponent got. So yeah, he's got a bit of a life gain shell there. Alright, so Ogre Battle Driver is gonna trigger here, giving us 9 plus 4, 13 plus another 6. So 20 power attacking, but our opponent will have some blockers. And let's get some lands here. And we can actually cast a Squadron Hawk here to get an additional attacker. Our opponent made a pretty scary Spire Tracer, but we did gain the life back from the Pelakka Worm, so we can cultivate here and cast Squadron Hawk. Let's get some red and some black. Maybe should have gone for green, but we have double ingot, so it's not really gonna matter. Alright, let's trigger that. And since that has first strike, this cannot block flyers, I'm pretty sure. So let's just attack with these. Maybe keep one hawk back to block the Spire Tracer and attack with the Pelakka Worm. Yeah, sounds like a plan. And next turn we can come rumbling in with a Kozilek, which should be pretty sweet. So the worm tramples over, seems like a loose block. And let's pause the turn. I think we've done enough for a turn here. Opponent has 5 lands, 6 lands now, so we did not really mana screw him. But we got up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, so enough to cast a Kozilek. And I think I block here because I don't think we lose either way. Okay, and passing over the turn. And I'm just gonna cast a Kozilek with haste. Draw 4 cards. There's a bonus. And let's go ahead and attack. Leaving back the hawks to block once again. Opponent can sacrifice 4 lands. Alright, he left. The AI is probably gonna block. And next turn we can play the Pelakka Worm and attack with everyone. Yeah, I'll block, why not? Alright, another Battle Driver is not really needed, but why not? It's sort of the theme of this game, why not? Alright. And let's turn everyone sideways. Opponent has 1 blocker left to block the Kozilek. And that's gonna do it. Alright, let's move on to the next game. Okay, this looks like a very good opening hand. Just needs an untapped land to make it great. And there we go. Alright, let's lead with the Guild Gates. And I'm not sure I want to play this Wall of Omens on 2. Let's see, so if we play a Guild Gate next turn and then a Swamp on 3, then we can play the Cartographer on 4. Alright, that solves our problem. Can just play the Wall now. Play the Ingot on 3, Cartographer on 4. And Baneslayer on 5. Or actually, Ingot on 3 and Baneslayer on 4. Seems a little better. Alright, 3 colors, cultivate. Let's find out if it's just a 3 or more. Alright, just banned colors. And yep, let's play the ingots and pass the turn. So, Warp World is not great against counter spells. So far with the single blue, I'm not too concerned about a counter spell. Our opponent's ramping quite a bit himself. So we'll just play the Baneslayer Angel to force a removal spell. Hopefully it's not a reprisal. Alright, Wall of Omens. So our opponent's pretty much also ramping into something big here. And he did have double cultivate, which ramps a bit faster than the single ingot. But let's see. Yeah, I think just playing the angel's fine here. It's probably better than the Inferno Titan, given that our opponent has a wall in play. So if our opponent takes a turn to remove the angel, that would be good. Admirers, alright. Going for the long game. And is this a reprisal? Nope. Brimaz. Alright. And another untapped land, but we did not have the red in play for the Titan. So I might have messed that up somewhere. So let's just play the Savage Lands and the Cartographer. And I guess we attack. Since we do have a blocker to block the Admirers or the Brimaz token. And we can block Brimaz himself with the wall. Alright. Rock's Faithmender. And we don't want to see something like Craterhoof Behemoth come out, but our opponent only has the double green here. Alright, so let's block like this. So Faithmender leads me to believe our opponent's trying to go big with some life gain spell. So let's see, how are we gonna stop that? Captain of the Watch is not great with all those high toughness creatures out, so I think I'll just play the Inferno Titan. So I think I actually just attack with the Cartographer, see if our opponent blocks it with one of these, so we can finish it off with Inferno Titan. If he blocks with the wall, then that's good as well. Alright, so we're gonna get a free Brimaz. Fog, never mind. So I just got a token out of the deal. I guess we can still kill that. Kill the Admirers. And the token. Pass the turn. So if we ever draw Warp World, we would still need another red source. But meanwhile, we can just play Captain of the Watch. I'm still trying to figure out what our opponent's trying to do. Fog seems like a weird card so far. Okay. Passes a turn. Anger of the Gods. Doesn't do a whole lot. So let's start by attacking here. And let's see. Think we deal to the opponent. Because if he double blocks, we can still only kill one. Although I guess if we ping them, we could have killed them both. But yeah, I don't think he's going to double block anyways. Verdict on the Inferno Titan, interesting, instead of the Baneslayer. So let's just cast a Captain of the Watch. Play a Guildgate and pass a turn. Still don't have the triple red for Warp World should we draw it. So we would need to hit another Ingot, a Mountain, a Savage Lands, a Jungle Shrine, or a what's left? Cultivate. Alright, there's a Cultivate. So we can get our red. And I guess some more green. And do we have any good attacks? We do not. So yeah, Warp World would be a pretty good draw. Runescar Demon into Warp World would be even better. Alright, that does not work, but he does gain some life. The Ingot being indestructible. Mentor of the Meek, okay. Passing of the turn. And there's the Runescar Demon, alright. We're doing it. Let's get ourselves a Warp World. No clue if it's actually gonna be beneficial or not, but it sure sounds exciting. And if our opponent kills the Runescar Demon, that's fine. And given that we don't have any Ogre Battle Drivers in hand, I think we play this main phase 1 and hope to hit a Battle Driver. Alright, draw. And no attacks. And I think we can play this Wall of Omens. 7, yeah. Let's see what we draw. It's a Squadron Hawk. Interesting. Yeah, I think we can take a turn to cast a bunch of Squadron Hawks here to increase our permanent count even more. Finish. And then we can attack with our Runescar Demon. Oh boy, this Warp World is gonna be great. Send in the Demon. Still not attacking with anyone else. Verdict is fine. And let's hope our opponent does not cast a Planar Cleansing here. But I don't think he would have cast a Verdict if he had a Planar Cleansing in hand. Alright, it's gonna gain 10 with the Angelic Edict, taking out our one guy, but we don't really care about that. So now we have a whole bunch of permanents out. Safe to say more than the opponent has. Gets to draw a card. And I don't think we actually kill Brimaz here because we would end up losing permanents. Alright. And Cultivate would get us more permanents, so let's go for it. Keep up the triple red. Confirm. And let's go. It's gonna be a whole bunch of triggers. Let's see, and we hit Battle Driver. And I've... Alright, opponent hit pretty good as well. But yeah, Battle Driver meet Kozilek. The game's bugging out a bit here, lands being reversed. All the triggers. We don't have any planes left. Boom. Alright. Let's cast a Squadron Hawk. Alright, their opponent left. Let's take out, I guess, Brimas. And attack. Sacrifices his lands. And that looks pretty good to me. Opponent down to 9. Wow. Nice lands. And let's attack. Alright, so pretty ridiculous game. But yeah, pushing the game's limits here. So let's move on to one more game. Alright, so let's take a look. This is a no land hand. So let's ship it. And this hand is not great, but I think I'll keep it. And probably should have led with the planes, but probably won't matter. Swamp into Vampire. That's not great for us. So we probably want to see an Anger of the Gods here. Nope. So we do have double red for Inferno Titan, but we don't have any green sources for the worm yet. So Cultivate would be a pretty good draw, so we can go Ingots into Cultivate. This is only a 1/1 at the moment. And that's another Vampire. But we're not killing them, so this probably won't matter too much. Baneslayer, alright, so we can go turn 4 Baneslayer, which is pretty good. And if we follow that up with turn 5 Inferno Titan, we probably can't lose. Alright, and attack for 3, down to 16. Maybe has a removal spell up. Nope. Alright, just a Child of Night. Hopefully our opponent does not have the Edict to kill our Baneslayer Angel, but I do think we run it out here. And let's see if our opponent has removal. And if he's thinking, he probably doesn't. Alright, all out attack, I like it. So what does this do again? Yeah, I think we block. Dying Evil, that's fine. We still gained 5 life here, so that's all good. And let's hope to hit another untapped land. Close. Let's attack. And probably just ground assault the Highborn here. So even if he does have another Undying Evil, at least he won't be activating the ability. Yep, there's another Undying Evil. So he'll get a 3/3 because the counter goes away and then one counter comes back. What happened there? Alright, the Undying doesn't work if there's already a counter on it. My bad. So our opponent misplayed there by casting the second Undying Evil, because Undying only works once. And let's see. Yeah, probably Inferno Titan. So, not a super fancy game here, but hey, we are a mid-rangey deck after all. So let's attack with Baneslayer, and yep, our opponent knows it. Next turn we can either cultivate or cast Captain of the Watch. We could just try and set up a giant warp world. That could be fun. But that's also sort of stalling the game. Just cast a Plaka Worm. Let's just attack. And pause the turn, and then probably just attack with everyone next turn once again. Alright, there's the tribute I was afraid of. Let's sacrifice the worm. Draw a card. And if we don't see a warp world, I'm not gonna play towards it. Alright. Let's attack. No need to pump. Alright, since this was a pretty short game, I guess we can do one more. So, yeah. Alright, let's see. Nope, this we cannot keep. And this is not great, missing ramp. But at least we can cast a Squadron Hawk. Alright, opponent leads with a Swamp. There's an Anger, which is pretty good. Let's play our Shrine. Okay. Red, black, and Child of Night. We can stop that with a Squadron Hawk. And let's get only one additional Hawk, unfortunately, because we were on the draw. Otherwise we would have to discard. So next turn we'll probably just cast this Ingot and go from there. I will trade here. If he has a trick, so be it. That's fine. So gains 3, going up to 23. And we lose a Hawk. Let's see. So could play the Ingots. Could also just play the Guildgate and a Hawk. Don't hate that. Yeah, I think I'll go for that. If he spends more resources trying to use tricks, that's fine. I'm just trying to stall the game here a bit, so we have more time to set up this warp world. Okay. Dead weight, that's fine. And we'll go down to 18. Let's see if there's a follow-up. And nothing. Alright. Let's go ahead and play the ingot. And play the second hog, or third hog by now. And get the last one. And pass the turn. Fifth land drop. And no attacks. Attacks. Alright. Show me your trick. Okay. That's perfectly acceptable. And let's see here. 5. So possibly 6 lands. So we could play Battle Driver and just play a hawk and attack. Don't hate that. Yeah, why not? And then next turn we'll probably just play the Guild Gate. And now the question is, do we block if he attacks once again? And I think we don't, just because we can still attack back. And if we hit a creature, then this is gonna be awesome. Alright, Lightning Talons. Well, that leaves us not a lot of choice. So it comes in for 5. We still have this Anger of the Gods, but it seems pretty bad to use it here. So now he's got a 5 power, first striking lifelinker. Okay. So let's see. We've got 5, 6, 7. So next turn we can cast Warp World. So we do want to preserve the number of permanents, but we also want to lower our opponent's number of permanents. So I think we actually do cast this Anger, as bad as it may seem, just because that gets rid of 2 of our opponent's permanents. Let's see if he has something to save the Child of Night. Doesn't look like it. So we could have just chumped the Child of Night, but I actually want to get rid of the Child because it's 2 permanents, including the Lightning Talons. Alright, Wrecking Ogre. But I think we just go for it here, unless we draw something we want to cast first. Nope. Alright. And I think we play the Swamp. So, because I would rather have the Mountain in hand when this resolves. So 8 permanents versus the opponent's 6. And Inferno Titan plus Cartographer is pretty good. Could have been better, but not gonna complain. And our opponents, yeah, getting pretty decent cards as well. I think I'll end up killing the Ogre here. We could also kill Bloodcast and Agent of the Fates might be better if he has like some sort of way to target the agent. Now let's get a land. Alright, and then Inferno Titan should be able to kill the Wrecking Ogre next turn and go from there. Our opponent only has one land left, which is one of the benefits of Warp World and playing cards like Cartographer that get you the land right back. Probably didn't expect this. Alright, Shock. Going at, I'm guessing, the Cartographer. I'm not gonna block the Wrecking Ogre if he attacks. And he is with both. Alright, that makes more sense. Let's take it. This does mean he could get back the Bloodghast, but we're gonna kill the Wrecking Ogre, so we should not be in danger of dying. And the Wall of Omens is gonna help as well. Alright, more lands. I guess I should have played the Mountain in case we wanted to pump the Inferno Titan one more. Let's see if he blocks. Probably doesn't. Right. And let's pause the turn. I probably think Inferno Titan versus one land is favoring the Inferno Titan. Just a guess. Alright, Adventuring Gear. I will block. No attacks. Okay, more lands. We can almost cast a second Warp World here. And let's make sure to pump this guy. Again, I should have played the Mountain, but this should be a kill next turn. And no plays. Alright, I think we got there. So yeah, Warp World, messing with mana bases. Well played, sir. No need to pump here. Alright, so that's Warp World in a nutshell. It's awesome when it works. This is gonna do it for this gameplay. I wanna thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and as always, have a nice day.